Thank you for clicking this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more. God bless.
Hey family, what's going on? This is yours truly, Brother Jason, remember, the host of the Moments of Truth podcast. Guys, I know you are excited to watch this video and you clicked on it for a reason. So please don't click off. Stay for the duration of the video, but just give me about 30 seconds of your time for a quick announcement. First and foremost, if you have not, please consider liking this video and also subscribe if you want to be a part of the Moments of Truth family. We'd love to have you. I say all the time, I don't have subscribers, I got family. So every time we get up in the comments, it's like a family reunion. You bring the chicken and I bring the Kool-Aid. Also, guys, if God moves on your heart and you want to be a blessing to the channel, I'm going to ask you, please consider blessing us through Cash App. I'm having an issue with YouTube with all of the super chats and whatnot. So please, guys, I'm going to put my information up about my Cash App and my PayPal. And if God moves on your heart to be a blessing to the channel, I really would appreciate it, because all blessings go to help with production. All right. So guys, without further ado, enjoy the rest of the video. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is yours truly once again, Brother Jason Rembert here with the Moments of Truth podcast. Now, guys, we have a sensitive topic that we're going to talk about. World-renowned pastor and singer Donnie McClurkin is in the news as early as today. This news broke today, or as of this recording, it's still a Monday. By the time it's uploaded, it's going to be Tuesday. So for those of you that are watching, it was yesterday. Donnie McClurkin is in the news with a lawsuit from his former assistant. But we're going to play these clips and then we're going to have a candid conversation. All right, guys, here's the clips.
Donnie McClurkin, the Grammy-winning gospel legend whose voice has filled churches and arenas for decades, is suddenly standing in the middle of a storm after a young man has allegedly accused him of years of sexual abuse, claiming the world-famous pastor used his spiritual power and access to slowly groom him, gain his trust, and cross lines that should never be crossed inside any church. And now this lawsuit is shaking the gospel world because McClurkin was seen as a hero, a mentor, and a leader whose music inspired millions. Yet these accusations paint a dark picture of manipulation and secrecy that allegedly followed him for years. And while McClurkin has denied the claims and insists the truth will come out, the case is forcing people to confront painful questions about faith, power, and who we choose to put on pedestals, with lawyers gearing up for a long fight and everyone reminded that for now, these are still allegations and nothing has been proven in court.
2026 is off to a very bad start. Gospel star Donnie McClurkin sued for sexual abuse. So this man named Giuseppe Corletto is suing Donnie McClurkin. Now, according to the lawsuit, Donnie McClurkin sexually abused him over several years and wrote an apology email declaring himself a dirty old man. Giuseppe says that he was struggling to reconcile his sexuality with his faith when he sought out McClurkin in 2003. When he was 21, he went to Donnie McClurkin's church in Long Island after reading his book, which described how God helped him overcome the curse of homosexuality. Donnie McClurkin talked about being raped as a child, which resonated with Giuseppe because it was similar to his story. He was brought to meet Donnie McClurkin after the event, and he believes that he was being groomed from the start. Allegedly, Donnie McClurkin began to molest Giuseppe during the Pray the Gay Away spiritual sessions. Yeah, just so you know, we reading this together. I am very surprised. Now, during this time, he worked as Donnie McClurkin's assistant, and he traveled with him regularly. He said it was difficult for him to speak out about the abuse that he had suffered because this was his mentor and employer, making it difficult for him to process what was happening. They went on a trip in 2007 to California, and Donnie McClurkin brought his girlfriend on that trip as well. But the lawsuit alleges that he forced himself on Giuseppe and raped him in a hotel room. When Donnie McClurkin was confronted about the incident, McClurkin told Giuseppe that he was on medication and didn't remember anything. Donnie McClurkin allegedly further manipulated Giuseppe, blaming him for the incident and convincing him that he was the sole culpable party. He allegedly also secretly groped Giuseppe before going to preach at church, causing him to cry during the service. Giuseppe also says that he attempted to leave the church several times, but Donnie McClurkin would guilt him into staying. And he would compare Giuseppe to people in the Bible like Elijah, referring to prophets who had mentor-mentee relationships. That's a little sick. Giuseppe says that he finally quit working for McClurkin in 2008, but they remain in each other's professional circles. He said Donnie McClurkin saw him out again in 2012 and raped him in a Florida hotel room, as well as in Boston and Niagara Falls in 2013. The last alleged incident occurred in 2015 when Giuseppe says Donnie McClurkin engaged in further sexual misconduct while he was seeking spiritual guidance amid mental health struggles. So he's saying Donnie McClurkin saw him out. Why would you go? Like, why would you go to Florida? Why would you go to Boston? Why would you go to Niagara Falls? Why would you go if you knew that he had raped you previously? I don't understand. So allegedly, Donnie McClurkin sent an email apologizing in 2013. He said, I am the actual epitome of a desperate, dirty old man, groping a young man who is just looking for a friendship and close platonic relationship with someone he looks to for help, guidance, and spirituality. You don't have that desire for me, and I shouldn't have it for you. I forced myself on you. Donnie McClurkin's attorney says all allegations are categorically false. At no time did Pastor McClurkin engage in any form of sexual abuse, assault, or sexual coercion of Mr. Corletto. The claims set forth in the lawsuit grossly mischaracterized their interactions, which occurred over a decade, and some accusations over 2 decades ago. All these allegations are contradicted by the real facts.
So those were the clips. Now, before we get started, let me say this. Everything is still alleged. Nothing has been proven in court. They have not even gone to court yet. And it is important to say that Donnie McClurkin's lawyers have vehemently denied these allegations. With that being said, I will say this. This young man said that the abuse happened when he was 21 years old. He went to Donnie McClurkin's church after he read Donnie McClurkin's book. And those of us that follow Donnie McClurkin, we know that he is well documented and spoke on his battles with rainbowism. I got to say rainbowism because I don't want you to copyright strike me. And he talked about how God has delivered him from rainbowism and a rainbow lifestyle because he was essayed when he was young by his uncle and then by other people. This is what I'm going to say. A lot of times when a person has suffered that much traumatic abuse, if we don't heal and heal properly and really seek therapy and let God do what needs to be done, a lot of abusees turn into abusers. Now, this man said that the victim, Mr. Giuseppe, stated that the abuse happened when he was 21 years old, fairly new to the church. Donnie McClurkin, he sought counsel with Donnie McClurkin, and then Donnie McClurkin took him under his wing. Now, I'm going to say this to you leaders watching this. If you are struggling with your flesh, if you are struggling in certain areas, you do not need to be counseling individuals struggling in those areas. Because what's going to happen is, if you don't think trauma bonding is a real thing, trauma bonding is an absolute real thing. And what will happen is you will start having what is called transference. Those of you that are familiar with the therapy field, you know what transference is. When you go to, I'm going to say this for example, if you go to therapy, right? Let's say I go to therapy, and let's say my therapist is a woman, and it's the therapist's job to show compassion, to show love and caring and understanding, and to help you unpack issues. And what happens is, in those moments, you become vulnerable and you become drawn to your therapist, and you begin to develop what you think is feelings for your therapist, but it's really transference. Now, the therapist is supposed to be professional enough to let you know what is going on, so that no lines get crossed. I say that to say this. It happens all the time in the church world. People start developing feelings for their pastors because of transference. But what happens when said pastor is not healed from the very situation that you are going to get counseling for? Case in point, this gentleman was battling with rainbowism. Donnie McClurkin, even though he claimed to be delivered from rainbowism, in the lawsuit it alleges that they began to have a rainbow relationship, and in many cases SAing happened on occasion. Now, this is why I say, for leaders, you have to be delivered. You have to know that you're delivered. You have to know. You can't think. You have to know you're delivered and know you're in a place of maturity where you can counsel people. I am a big believer I'm starting to become a big believer of, when you go to counseling with a pastor, I'm starting to believe now that maybe someone else should also be in the room. They may not be in the exact room, but they need to be somewhere close by, just so everything is on the up and up. Now, like I said, all this is alleged. There's nothing's been proven in court yet. If there's an out of court, if there is a out of court settlement, then we can pretty much gauge what happened. But this is where I kind of have some reservations, because after all of these terrible incidents, after certain terrible incidents happen and you get away from your abuser, so to speak, why, when he reached out to you, why would you go back and then knowing what was done to you, allegedly, knowing the possibility that it could be done again, why would you go back? That is the $1 million question. Why did you continue to go back? Because now when you continue to go back, it is no longer, that is not manipulation. That is a choice. I'm sorry, man. Once you've made the choice and you gathered the courage and strength to leave your abuser and you go back years later, that is not manipulation. That is a choice. I'm sorry. You can't sway me on that now. You can't. Now, the first go round, when you're first 21 years old, you're still very impressionable at 21. I don't care what nobody say. You're still very impressionable at 21. But when you talk about years later, you're talking about in your late 20s, early 30s, and you allowing this, you a grown man and still allowing this grown man to do this to you. Now, set aside from being, unless there was some type of weapon involved, if there's a knife to your throat or something like that, okay. If you're in jail, that's a different story. But right here, no weapon involved. He didn't hold you down. You chose to go back there. So now the question is why? And like I said, guys, all of this is alleged. There is no proof that any of this happened, other than right now it is he say versus he say. His word, Mr. Galappo's word against Mr. McClurkin's. If it goes to court, then we will find out the truth, because it will become public record. So, guys, we got to stay tuned for this now. Got to stay tuned. But this is why I say this is what happens when you use positions of power to wield influence over people and garner sexual favors in exchange for power, wealth, position. This is a common thing. And it's happening too much now in these American churches with these American pastors. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments about this. We're going to have a discussion. Meet me down there. Okay? Love you guys. We're going to keep an eye on this and look for more developments as it goes forward. Until then, this is Brother Rembert. Know that you are truly blessed. In Jesus' name. And we are out of here.
I just wanna chill and twist the lie.